Okay, so in this video, we're going to have a look at Real Madrid's setup, how they look to take advantage of Bellingham's traits, and then how Ancelotti's substitutions to wing the momentum just enough in Madrid's favour. Before we get into it, if you enjoyed the video, share it on social media, give it a like, let me know what you think about Real Madrid's chances this season. With that, let's get into it. Against Getafe's 4-3-1-2 initially, which at times can be more of a 4-1-3-2 with your two wide centre midfielders here pushing a little bit higher, Real Madrid tried to play a 2-3 midfield shape with the widest players actually being the two fullbacks, and then having their centre midfielders as the CDMs and the fullbacks instead. So we see that partially here with Modric, at times Camavinga as a left back, and then in the space between the lines you'd have Bellingham, who was required to drop from between the lines to try and create a bit more space for the likes of Rodrigo and Joselu, and then from there he would spin into this space between the left centre back and left back. Initially in the first half, contrasting with the second half, Real Madrid constantly attacked this right hand side, either through Carvajal or Bellingham, with those midfielders in those fullback positions supporting. Unfortunately, on this occasion, Bellingham's driving run into that right hand side space is tracked extremely tightly, as it was a lot of the time by Getafe. But from that, we get to see one of the setups for Getafe from their goal kicks. On this occasion, playing a 2-3-2-3. Alternatively, they played a 3-1 where Getafe would sit ahead of the left hand side of the defence with Alvarez as the focal point really high up on this left hand side. Of course, once they drew and they were in the second half, they basically avoided this deep build up, instead just going long. So we get to see here that long goal kick, and then it's contested centrally, looking for flick-ons and runs in behind, which fortunately Real Madrid are able to rebuff with this early pass into Kepa Arrizabalaga, and with that Real Madrid are able to surge back up this left hand side. Real Madrid get back into possession, and we see them setting up into that 2-3 again. So you've got your two centre backs, Tchouaméni sitting ahead of them, Bellingham between the lines, and then Camavinga dropping to left back as Garcia pushes higher up, and with Joselu pinning Duarte here, that gives space for Rodrigo to try and take advantage of this space in the left hand side. Real Madrid instead keep possession here centrally, and it's important just to mention that Tchouaméni did this as well as also Camavinga, where they shared the CDM role, where on this occasion Camavinga has become a centre back, allowing his two centre backs to split, with Camavinga staying as that left back. But alternatively, Camavinga could have stayed at CDM with Tchouaméni dropping to right back. Anyway, off the ball we have runners in behind, Jude Bellingham again looking to try and attack that space between the left back and left centre back, but also creating space for those full backs in the wide spaces. This eventually does culminate in Bellingham being able to get the ball from a slide rule pass by Carvajal in the right hand side space, and he's able to whip in a ball towards the back post for Garcia running in, this being your left back. Unfortunately, he doesn't take full advantage of the chance and it goes wide. Okay, so Real did have a lot of possession, but it wasn't especially threatening possession. So Ancelotti made a change to bring on Kroos and really take the game by the scruff of the neck. Unfortunately, Kroos is a double-edged sword. In possession, he is a boon. He is huge for the team, and he allows Real Madrid to be more flexible in their positions with the amount of creativity that he has, but it means that they're also more fragile, whether it's in defensive transitions or when they're being pressed. Okay, so here we see an example of that in the 53rd minute, with Real Madrid eventually winning back possession, and at this point they're still doing the same thing as earlier in the game, where they have their centre midfielders in CDM roles and in fullback roles, with a few other substitutions at this point as well, such as Nacho at left centre back, and now Alaba pushing to left back / left wing in possession. And so you get to see just how influential Kroos becomes, with almost every second pass in this move going to Kroos, and with that Getafe in essence narrow towards this side, creating the shape that Kroos wants. It allows him then to try and exploit the space far side with his prowess in long range passing. And so we get to see that with numerous passes forwards into midfield and then back into the defense, pushing and pulling Getafe all over the place, with runs in behind, threatening to utilize Kroos's ability on the ball. Eventually we see that here with this ball out to Modric on the right hand side. Unfortunately, it was a bit behind him, and so eventually the ball is circulated back to Kroos, and now at this point they're able to create an opportunity for Rodrigo to attack this left hand side. He essentially became a left winger towards the second half of the game, helped by the positioning of Alaba in this more narrow centre forward position, which prevents the right back for Getafe being able to go out early to Rodrigo, allowing Rodrigo to gain some momentum. Unfortunately, Rodrigo's cross is a bit long, but Real Madrid are able to retain possession, and just as in the earlier example, the midfielders playing in those fullback positions support, and so we get to see Modric on this right hand side eventually supporting, driving inside, and then passing to the other fullback in Kroos on the edge of the box, and he hits an absolute rocket, but it bounces off the post and he gets a follow-up, but it's saved by possibly the man of the match in the Getafe goal. I've mentioned how with Kroos on the pitch in these kind of positions, initially at left back but then later at CDM, he allows Real Madrid to have more control, and there's a few other examples such as these few in the 55th minute. First, this really beautiful through ball for Alaba in the left-hand side, and then later he plays an even more sumptuous pass for Carvajal in behind on the right-hand side. Okay, so moving on slightly, Real Madrid had a couple of counterattacks, but Getafe basically stopped them all with fouls, and so we're going to move on to Getafe's counterattacks, which were few and far between, but probably their best means of creating a goal, at least in the first half. But in the second half, I actually think their best means of creating a goal was through forcing Real Madrid into errors through the pressure that they could impose. With Real Madrid's shape, with the fact that they've got midfielders, whether it's Kroos initially at left back, but then at CDM, and Valverde or Modric at right back, there's an issue in Real Madrid's defensive transition if they get caught, because if Kroos is in a fullback position, he's not really going to track a winger properly, or if he's in a central position, he doesn't necessarily put a foot in quite as strongly as you need to stop the flow of the attack. And so we get to see that here with a bit of pressing of Real Madrid on their pass backs, eventually leading to Kepa getting the ball, and only by a couple of inches does Getafe not get the second goal and possibly a winner here. Okay, and with that, I think we'll just have a quick look at their long goal kick in that 3-1-3-3 shape, where we play that long ball out towards Alvarez, who's really strong against whoever was this right-sided centre midfielder. Initially it's Modric, but in the second half, Real Madrid, on the few occasions Getafe had this opportunity, they almost sometimes let them get the ball into Alvarez relatively uncontested, and it was quite dangerous because then Getafe popped a couple of 1-2s off in this left-hand side, and Real Madrid could struggle to stop them. Of course, this example that I give was the one that Getafe actually scored from. And with that, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, consider sharing it on social media, subscribing, and leaving a comment about Real Madrid's chances this season. And with that, we're out.